So what you're looking at today is a B17 Flying Fortress. This is the type of aircraft that basically won the war in Europe. It later served also in the Pacific. This particular B-17 was built in 1944. She went to the Pacific in 1945, too late to see combat. General MacArthur liked to use B-17s as his personal taxi between islands. After that, she was used to do aerial mapping of the Philippine Islands because we didn't have a good idea of how they were laid out. The plane is pretty sturdy. It's like a flying tank. All the systems were redundant, so everything was double. It took the most battle damage of any aircraft ever and came home. Our particular aircraft, the wings channel, said we are the most authentically restored of the aircraft capable of flight. During the war, there were 12,753 B-17s built. There are less than 50 fuselages left in the entire world. That includes everything in a museum or if it's up on a stick someplace. There are basically right now 5 capable of flight.
This was used after the war when many B-17s were being scrapped and melted down and the aluminum used for pots and pans. This one was on a mission in the South Pacific as a photo reconnaissance airplane. And then after that, a fire bombing company bought the airplane and used it to bomb forest fires with water and fire retardant. And that saved it again from the scrapyard. And then Commemorative Air Force, at the time it was Confederate Air Force, bought the airplane and spent 18 years restoring it in the desert in Arizona. And after it was restored, it was used as a flying museum, and that's what we do with it today, still taken on tour.
Okay. During World War II, like I said, she was used extensively in Europe. There was a 10-man crew on board, the 4 up front, which would be your bombardier, your navigator, your pilot, and your co-pilot, ranged in age between 22 to 25. Your 6 kids in the back ranged in age between 17 to 19. 10 kids on each crew. One Thursday in October of 1942, 100 B-17s left England to bomb the Schweinfurt ball bearing factories. That night, 1 came home. 10 kids on each plane. This was never pressurized, never insulated, so at altitude it is 70 degrees below zero inside this airplane. And then the windows would get frosted up, so they took them out. All of these shell casings come back inside the fuselage, so now you're walking around on hot marbles. You're freezing to death, people are trying to kill you, and you have to go to the target and back 35 times. If you got halfway there and your ship got shot up and you had to go home, it didn't count. If you got halfway there and you had a maintenance problem on your plane and you had to go back, it didn't count. You had to go to the target, drop your bombs, and come home 35 times. A lot of the guys that I've met over the years did it 50 times. They stayed until the complete end of the war. So these guys are heroes. This was not a fun job. The 8th Air Force alone lost more men than the entire Marine Corps did during the war. Up front, your officers, the guy that sat in that bubble in the front, navigator, and the pilot and the co-pilot were somewhere between 22 to 25 years old. The rest of the crew was 17 to 19. When you go look at the doors underneath there, you're going to see one where the guy listed his whole crew, and then behind 3 of the names it says KIA, that means killed in action. And then they're going to list the 3 prisoner of war camps that they survived.